What's up, guys? This is Gary Taylor again with the Mortgage Motivation Podcast. And today I want to do something a little different. So, the last few days, I've been getting quite a few calls about the VA loan. So, I decided to go ahead and start my series on the VA loan. But since there's so much information, I decided to break it up into three parts. All right. So, the first video, which I'm going to do for you today, is just the generic form of the VA loan, what it means, why I like the VA loan so much. And then the second video, we're going to talk about someone purchasing a primary residence. All right. So we're going to get a chance to break that down and how to look for someone that's looking to buy that home and they actually going to move into the home, which all VA loans, it must be your primary residence. And then we're going to end it off with a third video, which would be if you were to move into a multi-unit VA loan. So say there's a 2-unit, 3-unit, 4-unit, and the veteran wanted to move into one of those units and wanted to rent out the other units, aka a house hack that I love so much. We're going to talk about that as well. So we're going to break this up so we get a chance to really dive into every part of the VA loan, which will be more videos to come because there's a lot of great info as it pertains to the VA loan. But today, guys, we're going to just talk about 6 things that I really like about the VA loan. I could actually do 10 if I wanted to, but I thought about like the 6 I see a lot that I think that are very beneficial to the veteran. So if you're a veteran, this video is for you. If you're a realtor that's working with a veteran, this video is for you. And this gives you the opportunity as a realtor to really understand how the VA loan works. So when you speak to the listing agent, when you speak to your buyer or your seller, you could better inform them how the VA loan really works. And I always start off by saying thank you so much to our veterans that are out there that's watching this video today. My hat goes off to you. My hat goes off to you. I'm a veteran myself. I was in the Air Force Air National Guard for over 21 years. And I always support my fellow members from the military that's serving currently right now and the ones that served in the past. Like I said, I retired. So I definitely understand. Not all military members are wearing uniform at this point. And I'm supporting you guys right now by wearing my red shirt. So remembering everyone that's deployed. So you see that? There you go. All right. One of my favorite shirts to wear. I work out in this shirt too. But like I said, today, guys, we're going to talk about just 6 of the main benefits that I see when I speak to my VA clients about the VA loan and why I like it so much. So the first thing is one of the number one things that people like to speak about is there is no down payment. Now, it's not required. You can still put a down payment. You can still put down 5%, 10, 30% if you wanted to, but it's not required. FHA loan is required. Conventional loan is required. And there's a lot of non-qualified mortgages that require you to put down a down payment. But the VA loan is no money down. However, and I want you to listen to this, this is so important. And this is for my clients and my fellow realtors. That does not mean that it's 100% financing and it covers the closing costs. It's just your down payment. So you don't have to put down your 3% or your 5%, but closing costs is still needs to be paid with the VA loan. So don't forget about that. And I say again, closing costs still need to be paid by the veteran. So either that's the veteran paying for the closing costs or the seller assisting with the closing costs, or there's some type of down payment assistance that's covering the closing costs, or if you're using your 401k, some type of form of investment or a gift. There's a lot of different ways the closing costs can be covered. So that's why I really love that, is because just imagine if you don't have to put down 3.5% or 5% on the loan, then that would allow you the money that you save, you could put that towards the closing costs to cover that. So instead of you having to cover 2 parts, you don't have to cover 1. So that's what something that we could talk about and break that down too. Just really quick. So if you have a gift, then of course, for an example, if you're buying a home that's $100,000 and your closing costs, I'm located in Delaware, but I cover quite a few different states. So we're going to just keep the math extremely simple and easy. say your closing cost is 4% of the sales price. So with that being said, your closing cost is at $4,000, which is fairly low, but it is a $100,000 purchase. Then we just have to cover $4,000. So if you have a gift that could cover that amount, you don't have to worry about anything else. If you're using a down payment assistance program, that's covered. If you're going to take money out of your 401k to cover that amount, then we're good. But like I said, that is still a lot better than you covering your down payment and your closing cost. All right. So the second thing is, which I really like, is the VA loan typically have extremely competitive rates. So if the average market mortgage rate right now is at 6%, you'll usually see the VA loan is going to be below that amount. And with Affluent Mortgage, I got to do a shameless plug. With Affluent Mortgage, we structured multiple lenders that specialize in the VA loan to ensure we get the best rates that are out there. And since I'm a veteran, I want to make sure that my fellow vets are taken care of. So we do have some great companies out there, some big lenders that we use with our company, with Affluent Mortgage, that will get you covered. So we're going to ensure that you get the best rate and the best program out there. I can assure you that. All right. So competitive rates, that would be number two. So the third thing would be is something that you hear about all the time is no PMI. So no private mortgage insurance. There's no such thing as a private mortgage insurance. So just another thing that will help you out on your mortgage payment, because you got to think about it. If you're paying principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, and you're paying PMI, that's going to increase that rate even more. So by eliminating the PMI, that's going to reduce your payment. So not only are you getting a really good rate, but there's no PMI. All right, never is a PMI, no such thing as that. So you don't have to worry about that because the VA is backing this loan. So therefore, they're going to cover this loan so you don't have to take care of the PMI. All right, so realtors and fellow vets, make sure you remember that. That's really, really big. Fourth thing is the relaxed underwriting for the VA loan. Oh, one of my favorite. Okay, so you can have a veteran with debt ratios above 50%, which is phenomenal. I think that is great. Low credit scores. I've seen credit scores 620, 630 with still really competitive rates with the VA loan. Like I said, the underwriting guidelines or the lender is going to give that veteran the benefit of doubt, still going to give them that rate. All right. So that's one thing I love about it. So if you're a veteran, expect to still get a decent rate. Same thing if you're a realtor, expect your client to get a really good rate by going with a VA loan. Now, there is something called residual income that once that's all figured, we got to make sure that household income and the debt that's been paid out of the household makes sense. But that's a calculation that we'll do for you. And we'll let you know if that's an issue or not. But typically, it's really not that big of a deal. All right. So the fifth thing is you can have up to 4% of seller concessions paid to your loan. So remember, there's no down payment. So if you have 4% of seller concessions to help cover your costs, if your your closing cost is at 3%, but you can receive up to 4%. So that means everything is all covered. Or if your closing cost is up to 4%, there's a high chance that the seller could pay for that for you. Now, in this particular market, it's not always guaranteed. I think it's still good to ask if you need it. Now, there's one thing, if you don't need the concessions, I understand that. But if you really need the concessions, the VA will allow you to go up to 4%. Just remember that. So you still can ask for concessions, but make sure you speak to your realtor about that, because that may affect how competitive your offer is going to be because you're asking for that. But I say again, if you need it, you need it. As simple as that. But the VA will allow you to use up to 4% of concessions. And my last thing that I want to discuss, which is number 6, and that is no loan limits with the VA loan. So conventional loan, FHA loans, they have loan limits. VA is no such thing as a loan limit. All right. So you can purchase a home 600, 700,000 up to $1 million without having any loan limits. Now, this is going to depend on where the home is located and the lender. But we're going to say this for the video that I'm going to go over, which is the second video about the VA loan. We're going to discuss that. So we're going to break down how the loan limit works, the high balance versus the jumbo loans is what there's no such thing as a jumbo loan, but we'll discuss how that breaks down. And I'll put a few examples in there. So if you're in Delaware, if you're in Maryland, if you're in PA, or if you're in Florida, give you some examples of what that will look like. But look out for video number 2 so we can discuss that and you can understand exactly how that works. But that's a great thing. So imagine you buying a home that's $700,000, $750,000, depending on where the home is located, and there's no down payment. You can't beat that. You can't, because if you go with any other program out there, you're gonna have to put down a down payment. So to me, that's a great thing. But the way I look at it as us as veterans, you signed up for the military saying that I give my life for this country. So the fact that we able to get a loan with no loan limits or all the other benefits of the VA loan is really not a surprise. I think when we sign on that dotted line and travel all around this world to protect our nation, that we do that, right? So I'm not really surprised. This is what our nation is doing for us, and I think we deserve it. So I'll just end with that. But so this is just a few things that I really like about the VA loan. A few items that I always bring up when I speak to someone that's never used a VA loan before. But let's see if you qualify. So if you are a realtor and you're working with any client, make sure you always ask, have you ever served in the military? You may qualify for the VA loan, which is 100% financed. All right. Always ask. I do that way. Every one of my clients, I always ask, have you ever served in the military? And from there, we could figure out if they qualify or not, because not every veteran will qualify for the VA loan. Make sure that we got that clear. So always, always, always ask, have you ever served in the military? And if you are a borrower looking to purchase a home and you served in the military, I don't care if it was for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, let's discuss that, because there are some items we have to look at to make sure that you do qualify. And if you do, we'll ensure that you get your certificate of eligibility. And we're going to discuss that on the second video. Certificate of eligibility just means that you are certified and you are able to purchase with the VA loan. All right. Well, I look forward to seeing you on the second video. Thank you so much for sitting with me. This is Gary with the Mortgage Motivation Podcast. And let's keep this thing rolling. So look out for video number 2.